My name is Sarah. I live here with my husband, John, and our son, Michael. John and I have been married for 10 years now. We were happy, or at least that's what I thought. We have a good life, a nice house, a yard, the whole thing. John works really hard. He's a great dad and husband. About 6 months ago, we hired Alex. Alex helps us out around the house. He cleans, takes care of the yard, and even plays with Michael sometimes. He's a nice guy, pretty quiet, and always has a smile for you. At first, I didn't think much about him. He was just someone who worked for us. But one evening, I got home late from work. John wasn't there yet. He was still at his office. Michael was already asleep. I found Alex in the kitchen, reading a book. I sat down with him, and we just started talking. He told me about his life, how he's from another city and moved here for work. He doesn't have any family around and lives by himself. We talked for a long time that night. After that, things started to feel different. One week, John had to go away on a business trip for 3 days. It was just me, Michael, and Alex at home. The first night John was gone, we all ate dinner together. After Michael went to bed, I ended up sitting with Alex again, just like before. We talked and laughed, and he made me feel good, you know. I really enjoyed talking to him. Then, it happened. I kissed him. It was just a quick kiss, but it felt like a big deal. I pulled back right away and told him it was a mistake. He didn't say anything, just looked at me. I couldn't sleep that night. I felt so awful. All I could think about was John. What had I done? I love John. I really do. But something felt different now. I had kissed Alex, and I couldn't take it back. I told myself it would never happen again, that it was just a one-time slip-up. But a few days later, it happened again. John was still away, and I was alone with Alex. This time, the kiss was longer, and it was real. I didn't stop it. Now, I was really confused. I was scared. I had this huge secret. I didn't want to tell John. He would be so mad, and he'd never forgive me. But I also didn't know how to stop what was happening with Alex. Every time I saw him, I felt this strong pull, like a fire inside. I felt like I couldn't control it. Days went by, and everything seemed normal on the outside. John didn't suspect a thing. He came home from his trip, and life went back to how it usually was. I cooked dinner, we watched TV, played with Michael. But inside, I was different. I was carrying this secret, and it felt so heavy. I couldn't tell anyone. Alex kept working for us. Bundel and Samtuide and Dole. Yung Sel, Tom is aborter. He was still great with Michael and always polite to John. When we were all together, it looked like everything was fine. But when John wasn't around, things were different. Alex and I would just look at each other, and we didn't even need to talk about what had happened. We both knew. I felt guilty all the time. When I kissed John, I'd think about Alex. When I was with Michael, the secret was always in the back of my mind, getting bigger every day. I couldn't sleep at night. I'd lie awake, thinking about what I had done. I thought about telling John. I wanted to, but I was so scared. What would he say? What would he do? Yeah. I didn't want to lose him. I didn't want to hurt him, but I already had, even if he didn't know it yet. One night, I was lying in bed next to John. He was asleep. Ow. I looked at him and just felt so sad. He had no idea what I had done. He trusted me, he loved me, and I had broken that trust. I wanted to cry, but I didn't. I just lay there, thinking about my mistake. Then, a few weeks later, something changed. I found out John was also hiding something from me. He had been seeing someone else. I didn't know who, but I saw messages on his phone from a woman. At first, I was just angry. How could he do this to me? I'm his wife. But then, it hit me. I had done the same thing. I wasn't any better than him. We were both living a lie. Now, everything was even more messed up. We both had secrets. I didn't know what to do. Should I tell him about Alex? Should I ask him about this other woman? Or should we both just pretend everything was okay? One night, I made a decision. I couldn't live like this anymore. This secret was too much. I had to tell John the truth, even if it hurt him, even if it meant our marriage was over. I couldn't keep lying. I sat down with him after dinner, after Michael was asleep and Alex had gone home for the night. I looked at John and took a deep breath. John, I need to tell you something, I said, my voice shaking. He looked at me, confused. What is it? He asked. And you say in englishstories. I've been seeing someone, I said, not able to look him in the eye. There was silence. Then he spoke. Name and you may come out. I'll treasure I'll say how matters am stuck. Who? I told him everything. About Alex, the kiss, the nights when he was away. I told him I was sorry and that I loved him. I cried and waited for him to say something. John just sat there, looking at me. I had no idea what he was thinking. I was terrified he would leave, or yell or something. But he didn't. Finally he said, I've been seeing someone too. I didn't know what to say. It started a few months ago, he went on. I didn't mean for it to happen, but it did. I'm sorry. I'm sure. We both just sat there, not knowing what to do next. We had both made mistakes, and we had both hurt each other. But now, it was all out in the open. No more secrets. We decided to talk, really talk. We talked about our marriage, our mistakes, and what we wanted. It wasn't easy, but we both agreed that we still loved each other. We didn't want to end our marriage. We wanted to try and fix it. The next day, we made some changes. We let Alex go. It was hard, but it was the right thing to do. We also decided to go to marriage counseling. We knew it would take time, but we wanted to make things right again. Months passed, and things slowly got better. John and I worked on our marriage. We spent more time together, talked more, and were honest with each other. It wasn't perfect, but it was getting better. After Alex left, the house felt strange, so quiet. Michael missed him and asked where he went. I told him Alex found a new job. It wasn't a complete lie, but not the whole truth either. That was the hardest part, trying to keep the truth from my son. John and I went to counseling once a week. At first, it was tough. We had to talk about our mistakes, our feelings, and why we did what we did. The counselor asked us questions that made me think about things I didn't want to think about. Why did you kiss Alex? News? She asked me. I didn't really know how to answer. I loved John, but I still kissed Alex. Why? And talent will Boris engineer. I told the counselor that I felt lonely. John was always working, always busy. I felt like we were living separate lives. Alex made me feel seen, special. John looked hurt when I said that, but it was the truth. We both needed to hear the truth. Trust is hard to rebuild. After I told John about Alex, he didn't trust me the same way anymore. He didn't say it, but I could feel it. If I came home late, he'd ask where I'd been. If I was on my phone, he'd look at me differently. I couldn't blame him. I didn't trust him completely either, not after finding out about the other woman. The counselor said, trust takes time, and we had to be patient. I wanted things to go back to normal, but I knew it wouldn't be quick. Every day, I tried to show John that I was sorry, that I loved him, and that I wanted to make things right. John did the same. He started coming home earlier from work. We ate dinner together as a family more often. We spent weekends doing things together, like going to the park with Michael or watching movies at home. It wasn't easy, but we were trying. One day, I asked John about the woman he had been seeing. I hadn't asked before because I was afraid of what he might say. But now, I needed to know. Who was she? I asked him one night after Michael went to bed. John looked uncomfortable. He didn't want to talk about it, but I needed to know the truth. Her name is Lisa, he said. She works at my office. I felt a pain in my chest when he said her name. I didn't want to know anymore, but I had to ask, do you still see her? No, John said quickly. It ended before you told me about Alex. That made me feel a little better, but it still hurt. John had been seeing someone else while I was at home taking care of Michael, thinking everything was fine. It wasn't fair, but then again, neither was what I did. We sat in silence for a while. Then John spoke again. I'm sorry, Sarah. I made a mistake. I love you. I don't want to lose you. I love you too, I said. And I meant it. We both had made mistakes, but we both wanted to fix things. Months went by, and things slowly improved. John and I started to trust each other again. We talked more, spent more time together, and made sure we didn't hide anything. We even made new rules for our relationship. If something was bothering us, we had to talk about it right away. No more secrets, no more hiding. It was hard at first, but it made things so much better. Michael was happier too. He didn't ask about Alex anymore. He was just happy to have both his parents around more. We played games, went to the zoo, and had fun together as a family. It felt good to be a family again. But there were still hard days. Some days, I'd think about Alex and feel guilty. Some days, I'd wonder if John thought about Lisa. But we didn't let those thoughts stick around. We pushed them away and focused on moving forward. 1 year after everything happened, John and I took a trip together, just the two of us. Michael stayed with my sister, and we went to a small beach town for a weekend. It was the first time we had been alone together in a long time. The trip was really good for us. We walked on the beach, had dinner at nice restaurants, and talked about our future. We both agreed that we wanted to stay together, that we wanted to make our marriage work. On the last night of the trip, John surprised me. He pulled out a small box from his pocket. Inside was a new wedding ring. He said he wanted us to start fresh, a new ring for a new start. Tears filled my eyes. I wasn't expecting that. I thought about everything we had been through, all the mistakes, all the pain. But now we had a chance to start over. Deus, tanto andi. I love you, John, I said. I love you too, Sarah, he replied. We put the past behind us and focused on our future. It wasn't easy, but it was worth it. Now, John and I are closer than ever. We learned from our mistakes, and we became stronger because of them. Our marriage isn't perfect, but it's real. We trust each other, we talk to each other, and we don't keep secrets anymore. Michael is growing up fast, he's happy, and he loves spending time with us. He doesn't remember much about Alex, and I'm glad. I want him to grow up in a home full of love and honesty. Sometimes I think about the past, about the mistakes we both made. But I don't let those thoughts hang around. We have a new life now, a better life. And I'm grateful for that. John and I still go to counseling sometimes, just to keep things strong. We've learned that marriage is something you have to work on every day. It's not always easy, but it's always worth it. Looking back, I realize how close we came to losing everything. Our marriage could have ended because of the secrets we kept. But instead, we found a way to fix it. We found a way to move forward. I'm not proud of what I did with Alex, and I know John isn't proud of what he did with Lisa. But we learned from our mistakes, and we became stronger because of them. Life is full of challenges, and marriage is one of the biggest challenges of all. But if you love someone, really love them, you can get through anything. John and I are proof of that. Now, I feel happy and at peace. Our home is full of love and laughter, and that's all I ever wanted. We're not perfect, but we're real, and that's what matters. If you like this story, please feel free to ask if you have any other requests.